Ilhan Omar married her brother. I mean, she just did. And the facts continue to support that. And she's never denied it, by the way. But with all the talk of revoking her citizenship and deporting her back to Somalia, where she belongs, we finally got some cooler heads in the conversation. The head of the Border Patrol has chimed in, and he has said, oh, hell yeah, I want to deport her. All right, we'll show you all of that coming up in a second. Plus, Gavin Newsom does the whole Mission Impossible thing, takes off his lizard skin and shows everybody the radical leftist that he is. We'll show you those videos because he wants your kids to be trans. That's the bottom line with Gavin Newsom. And, well, just look at his policies in New York. He's going to get it done. And then finally, a dramatic day yesterday on Capitol Hill as a congressman had a stellar, killer, devastating gotcha moment against Secretary Kristi Noem. And then the whole false narrative fell apart right before his eyes. It's beautiful. We'll show you the truth coming up right now. We're brought to you by The Lion. My name's Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry. Thank you for subscribing and watching our Friday extravaganza. Our buddy Chris DeGaulle is with us. He's going to join us in just a second. That should keep you. And that should also get you to subscribe. Whatever platform you're watching us on right now, give us a subscribe if you don't mind, so you will always be alerted when we're going live and doing our show, especially as we launch into next year, 2026, with the midterms coming up. We're in this together. We need you. You need us. Let's stick together. I'd subscribe to you if I knew how. So subscribe to this channel and give our video a like if you don't mind. If you care about staying sharp and informed, please make The Lion part of your daily routine. Published by the Herzog Foundation, The Lion covers the headlines that matter, from politics and policy to culture and faith, all through a common-sense, values-driven lens. It's the kind of journalism that goes beyond the surface, offering the context and clarity today's news demands. Whether you're tracking big national stories or you want to know what's happening in schools, state houses, and communities all across the fruited plain, The Lion delivers smart, well-sourced reporting you're not going to find anywhere else. Visit readlion.com, and while you're there, sign up for the daily and weekly newsletters. That's readlion.com, news that informs and respects your worldview. So the head of the Border Patrol was asked a very simple question. Are you interested in deporting Ilhan Omar? Do you have the stomach to go after a sitting congresswoman and sending her back to Somalia if it turns out she violated the law and falsified her marriage status when she got her visa and got her asylum? And of course, he said, oh, hell yes. Don't threaten me with a good time. All right, let's take a look at what he had to say.
All right, Chief Bovino, we heard from Tom Homan, who said that DHS is now launching an investigation into Ilhan Omar and whether or not she's in the country illegally. Can we count on you to make the arrest if we find out that Ilhan Omar is, in fact, illegally in the United States?
Nick, if she's here illegally, I'll definitely be putting some cuffs on her. I would absolutely love the honor of doing that.
Awesome. I just want to be there for it. That's all I ask. So.
Absolutely.
All right, let's bring in our buddy Chris DeGaulle. Of course, you know Chris is the morning radio host on Salem Radio Network. And of course, you can watch him do that great show on Salem News Channel. Chris, there's something kind of refreshing about these guys with this administration who seem to relish and enjoy their job. And they're sort of, do you remember federal law enforcement officials behaving this way, saying, oh, hell yeah, I'll deport her. I'll be the first one to kick her onto a plane?
No, I don't. And it's funny because you see that the Border Patrol guys are seeing a surge in people coming to work for them, and ICE. It's like, even though they have to cover themselves with masks and they're under great threat, the recruitment is through the roof. People want to be a part of this. And I would say that probably most of the people watching this want to see Congress as aggressive and happy to do their jobs as that guy.
Great point. Great point. And, there is, I know you interviewed Border Patrol agents and the head of the Border Patrol union during the Biden years. They were depressed. They were humiliated.
Yes.
They were, nobody signs up to be a Border Patrol agent to stand there and watch people illegally cross the border. So now that they're actually empowered to do their job, they got a bit of a spring in their step.
Yeah. And meanwhile, of course, cable news, I was just seeing this morning out of the corner of my eye, CNN running a poll of adults. That's any mouth breather they pull off the street to say, how do you feel about President Trump's, border enforcement. I mean, real polling of voters actually shows that he's through the roof with popularity, but they keep trying to run this storyline that, his aggressive policing of illegals in the country is losing him steam politically. I don't see any evidence actually that that's true at all.
Either. One other thing that I really got, I love that video so much in the set. Can we just bring it up again? Look at the smile on this guy's face. Look at the smile. Yeah, oh yeah, I'll deport her. You can count on me. 10 years ago, he would, even if he felt that way, he would be terrified to say it because he'd be called racist. He'd be called xenophobic, a bigot. They'd be calling for his head. But there's, again, this new empowered, infused sort of feeling, I think, amongst many of us. It's like, enough. You can't do that to us anymore. It doesn't work anymore.
Yes. And, when you speak so ill of the country, when you talk so openly and flagrantly about your priorities being those of Somalis or others instead of the American people that you're hired to represent, we've hit a threshold where we don't like it. We're not going to tolerate it, and we're going to say so. We don't care your race or your gender.
Let's get to the crux of the matter here, though. Ilhan Omar actually would have her citizenship revoked, and she would be ripe for deportation if, in fact, it turns out that she broke the law, committed felonies, especially when it comes to lying to the Department of Homeland Security with regard to her asylum status and citizenship status, or that of her brother. And the underlying accusation here goes to a Daily Mail article from nearly 5 years ago that showed documentation and evidence that Ilhan Omar married her brother. Washington Free Beacon, our neighbors here in the nation's capital, they're right across the street from us here at Town Hall. They did a deep dive into the evidence and confirmed. Well, here's the headline for you. Yeah, Ilhan Omar married her brother. But there's the happy couple.
Wow. That's
there's the marriage license application. There's the names. That's Ilhan Omar right there. That's her brother's name. Those are the addresses, Columbia Heights. Look at Ilhan Omar as the bride. Isn't that sweet?
Scott, I didn't know she was a lesbian.
Well, yeah. The brother looks a little transy, doesn't he?
Yikes, like Prince or something. I don't know. That might offend Prince.
Artist formerly known as Ilhan's brother. Donald Trump is an occasional practitioner of an unsparing form. Oh, no, you got to bring that up bigger for me. I'm sorry, I'm reading there. Thank you. Having taken an interest in the massive public programs fraud committed by an almost exclusively Somali cast of perpetrators in Minnesota, he's followed up with the unfriendly comments on Minnesota 5th District Representative Ilhan Omar. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. President told a crowd in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, we ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother. Can you imagine if Donald Trump married his... Omar is Somali fraud exhibit A, and her district was the center of gravity in the massive Feeding Our Future fraud case that I wrote about in Washington Free Beacon in March. By the way, we've shown the videos here of Ilhan Omar endorsing the very Feeding Our Families program that is at the center of this thing. The fact that she's never been grilled about this, forget about posing in a single picture or getting an endorsement or campaign contribution from the perpetrators in little Mogadishu up there. She literally did an endorsement video for the fraudulent program. I've seen her interviewed on CNN and MS Now and the networks over the last 5 days, and nobody's asked her a single question.
Yeah, she's as proud as she can be of her misbehavior. Her flagrant disdain for the country, for whites, for the law. She's just one of the most unlikable figures ever. And look, frankly, we see it with Letitia James, right, or James Comey. Yeah. These particularly loathsome people. Who just seem to stick a middle finger in the air and say, we're not, yeah. I mean, they're almost saying, yep, we're breaking the law and we're getting away with it. And there are judges, sadly, all over the country that are willing to give them quarter as well. So,
and of course, the political aspect of this is even Republicans in the past, even if they see the Democrats have broken the law, they sort of downshift and they don't really press it because they're afraid that it might blow back on them politically. And by the way, it may very well blow back on Republicans politically if they go after Ilhan Omar, try to strip her citizenship because she married her brother and then send her home. But Chris, who cares? If you really are the party of law and order, guess what? Enforce the law, prosecute the offenders, show us that a Democrat finally has to pay the price. And if you lose in the midterms, honestly, I'm kind of okay with that.
That's
if I
right.
can finally see some justice.
But look at what happened with the Abrego Garcia case, right?
Our Maryland man,
the Maryland man thing. That the public on that issue totally in Trump's corner, right? And it flipped on them, and they had to abandon ship immediately. The Somali, or I shouldn't say Somali, but the drug boats coming from Venezuela, they thought they had a thing there.
Yep.
It didn't. The American public likes seeing an administration and a Congress take action. And the Republicans in Congress would be rewarded if it looked like they actually gave a damn and took action. That's what people are craving right now. They want to see action.
And force Democrat. I want to see Chuck Schumer get in front of a camera on George Stephanopoulos' show and say, I don't care if she married her brother. She shouldn't be deported. Please take that stand, Chuck. I want that.
That's right.
Married her brother.
Yeah. And so far, the shutdown has been really, other than the big, beautiful bill, it's been the big, beautiful bill and the shutdown. That's what Republicans in Congress so far have to show for the year. And boy, this would be sort of a slam dunk, wouldn't it? This would be easy.
I would think. All right. Meanwhile, let's get this Border Patrol agent back because he had a few choice words for Jabba the Hutt Pritzker there, our governor.
Shoney's big boy.
Yes, who likes to call Border Patrol agents and ICE agents fascist, Gestapo, Trump's secret police, all the Nazi stuff.
Pritzker hasn't got it figured out. I don't think he could figure his way out of an open field. So I think the support here is unprecedented, though.
Yeah, it seems like more and more people are willing to actually speak out in favor of the Border Patrol actions and such, because you look at what just happened out there in North Carolina. Again, on the light rail,
Exactly.
Another murder by an illegal.
That individual should never have been there.
Yeah. And you guys were trying to take people like him out just a few weeks ago.
Exactly. And we did. We took a lot of those folks out. And they still are. I mean, we're still there. We're still in Chicago, still in L.A.
But the governor won't work with you.
Governor Steen in North Carolina will not. The governor here, Landry, second to none.
Yeah.
Total support. You can see the Louisiana State Police right there. And that allows these gentlemen to get their work done.
Yep.
Without having protesters and violence following them every step of the way. So it allows us to take people like this off the street. So we're really happy about that. First time ever. Nick, this is the first time we're a week and 2 days into this. Not one physical assault, not one vehicle ramming, no violence against Border Patrol. And it's because of Landry, Kenner Police Department, Chief Conley, Louisiana State Police. So we're really happy about that. We just want to get our job done, do the Title 8 mission, and get them out of here.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to delve into those details a little bit more here. By the way, is this guy going to run for office somewhere? I mean, is he not brilliant, Chris?
Yeah.
He's got my vote.
Well, he is, and he's making again that case that Landry and Republicans that stand with him, that's something to get excited about.
That's right. That's right. You just mentioned that, there's these polls that show that Trump is losing support amongst the American people with regard to the ICE interventions and the deportations and all that stuff. That really depends on the city you're in, and it depends on the kind of camera image or the film images that you see. Because, in Chicago, in J.B. Pritzker's Chicago, and in New York and in Los Angeles, you're seeing all these violent protests against the ICE agents. And it's like, oh, gosh, what's going on here? But not in Louisiana. And this head of Border Patrol made that case on Fox News. Here, watch.
Absolutely. It's like turning a light switch on and off, Sean. It's like turning a light switch on and off. Sean, we haven't had one use of force against a violent protester or a mob. And also, we've not had a Border Patrol agent assaulted for the entire time that we've been here in Louisiana. We've been here almost 2 weeks now. No vehicle rammings, no shots fired against Border Patrol agents, no physical assaults. You have to attribute that to the fantastic support of Governor Landry. And again, those police chiefs and law enforcement and also the community.
So the question is, yes, the community in Louisiana is going to be a lot different than the community in Chicago or in New York. But ultimately, I think this has to do with the leadership and the elected officials in those jurisdictions actually rallying up all of this hate and all of this resistance against, again, federal law enforcement officers.
Yeah, it's just so critically important to remember. And I know it sounds like a cliche. Maybe we say it too much, but your state house, we saw it in Indiana this week, for instance. Your state legislatures, your governors, your county commissioners, your sheriff's elections, boy, do they matter when you see stories like this. And that's what he's confirming. These
Yeah.
local officials are the ones that have these guys' backs when they come in to clean up your community and your town. It's not the federal government, it's your state government.
Yeah, any Democrat who wants to run in 2028, they're going to have to face the question, will you return us back to the Biden era of border security? What do they say when they're asked that? Because their base wants to open the borders up again. Their base wants to defund ICE.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, look, they're saying that rents are coming down on apartments right now because of a few 100,000, maybe a million or so, I don't know what the count is now, of the deportations. They're saying that our housing is going through the roof because of trying to house illegal aliens. So the strain and the drain on the economy, never mind the public safety angle, there's a lot to defend, and it's inexplicable. I mean, it's why Donald Trump won twice. It really is. It's the signature issue in both of his elections, and I don't think that's going to change.
I think you're right. And listen, the president is seeing a dip in his polls right now, specifically on certain issues. His overall popularity, it's up and down. I think it's around 43 right now. It's been better. I think part of it is because he's suffering from his own success.
Yes.
Because the border was such a problem, and he solved it so quickly without any drama. And it's been so locked in that I think people start to forget. They start to get a little complacent. And so they're like, oh, yeah, well, what have you done for me lately?
This is, boy, you have hit something with me. This, to me, all of the consternation, I'm not going to go into it. It's not why we're here. But all of the nonsense, noise, sideshow stuff that's been going on amongst people who supposedly supported Donald Trump, I think you just nailed it. That is exactly what I've been thinking. Trump's own success in this first year, they have been so laser focused and so effective.
Yeah.
It's almost like everybody's sitting around going, well, who am I pissed at then?
That's
I guess.
That's it. See, in the world of the commentariat, it is always easy to complain and point out the problems that are going on. That's always easier.
Yes.
And the infighting within MAGA world, or whatever you want to call it, in the right of center media that we're witnessing right now, it's because he did everything he was supposed to do. This has been one of the most successful first years of a president in my lifetime.
Yeah, and so when people say nobody's doing anything, Congress isn't doing anything, it's like, well, I don't know that Congress ever really does much of anything necessarily, but I mean, to the extent that they're doing anything, the big beautiful bill next year, I mean, and again, kind of wait on the economy. I mean, if the first quarter goes the way Bessent and others say it will.
It looks like it's going to go. Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, so inside a calendar year or a little over a calendar year, he's delivered on virtually everything he said he would.
I agree. And listen, I'm not trying to whistle past the graveyard here, but I mean, there's a complaint about Congress, and I get it. And if you look, they've only passed 5 bills into law this year, which is paltry. But the reconciliation package, the beautiful bill, that's like 30 laws all wrapped up into one. They got so much done in one fell swoop. That was sort of the idea. All right. Let's swing it back to Congress here. Representative Andy Ogles had a great moment, actually, if I may, as we're talking about the border and we're talking about the success that we've had there. Watch.
Unfortunately, my colleagues must not have read the memo, because that's not what they've talked about. They want to talk about ICE and immigration. So let's talk about that. In 1965, we passed the Hart-Celler Act. Since that time, we've seen chain migration on a scale that, quite frankly, I'm not sure even the progressive liberal authors of that bill could have possibly imagined. In that amount of time, we've seen 60 million migrants come into this country, most of which, 90%, from third world countries. There are roughly 300,000 Afghans in America, 200,000 of which came under Biden. Approximately 45% of Afghans are on U.S. food stamps. Afghans under the Biden administration have an unemployment rate double that of Americans. 68% of Afghans are on Medicaid. Let's go overseas. And so if that sounds like political rhetoric, let's look at the facts. Paris, 48% of crimes committed by foreigners, most of which were Muslim. Overall crime has surged since the Islamic migrant influx. That is from the French Interior Ministry. London, 40% of sex crimes are committed by foreigners, most of which are Muslims. That's the Metropolitan Police Department. Rome, 83% of 2024 street robberies by non-EU citizens, almost all of which were Muslim. Sexual assault, 69%. Muslim. Italian police reports. Minneapolis, here in the homeland. Violent crime in Cedar Riverside, a Somali hub, rose 56%, 2010 to 2018. Dearborn, Michigan, crime 105% above the national average. Hamtramck, outside of Detroit, 92% of assaults by Muslim immigrants. Drug arrests, 85% Muslim immigrants. Now let's go to Nashville, Tennessee, where a Somali man, a migrant who came in 2015, raped to death a woman on the steps of a church. I've had enough. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Deport them all. This is our country. We get to decide who comes in, and we get to decide who has to leave.
Chris, I feel again there's a spring in the step of Republicans who feel emboldened to continue to echo these messages. And I think what you just saw from Congressman Ogles, it resonates and it's impossible to dispute. The only response the left can give is racist. That's it. That's all they've got.
Yeah, that's it. That kind of fire, that kind of conviction is what people want. There was a video I saw floating around on social media this week, and I don't know the context. So, I tread a little lightly on this, but the point was it was a woman who was working her third job. She was really angry and emotional because she said some non-English speaking women came in and started mocking her. This is a white woman who's working like early mornings or overnight as a clerk at a grocery store. And she was making the case that not only were these two foreign women mocking her, but also they were paying for this laundry list of junk food with food stamps. And she was fit to be tied, and she just went on like a 2-minute rant in her phone about it. And it's that palpable white hot rage that Americans are feeling right now, where they feel like they're being suckered, we're being taken advantage of by people who hate our guts. And again, it's personified in Ilhan Omar. They're extending the middle finger now, even with elected officials, and saying, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Exit question here, Chris DeGaulle. Let's finish up where we began, and I'll ask you a very simple question. If you were in war-torn Somalia, if you were suffering as a refugee there from the warlords and the civil war and the corruption and the murder and the mayhem and the lawlessness, and you had the opportunity to flee that chaos as a refugee and seek asylum in the United States of America, would you, Chris DeGaulle, marry Ilhan Omar's brother?
Well, he's passable.
Can we bring his picture up again?
I mean, quite frankly, in college, there were a few more questionable decisions I'd made,
I think I can't get back past the beard and mustache, though.
I mean, it looks exactly like her with like some facial hair kind of painted on.
Is that an AI thing, Kevin? Did you create that?
I swear I had no role in creating this.
Now, doesn't it look exactly like her with just like colored on facial hair?
A little more feminine, but yes, pretty much.
Honestly, that's the funny thing. He looks more feminine than she.
Well, there it is. I think we've learned a lot today in our A block here on our program.
Not one hot Somali.
If you're going to take away anything from this, and just repeat it over and over again, especially at your Christmas dinner with your liberal in-laws, every time they start to spout off, just lean in and say, Ilhan Omar married her brother. God bless us, everyone.
And only in Arkansas will they go, so?
Wow, leave the Razorbacks alone. Come on.
It's
old
just,
stereotypes
it's all
die hard.
It's all in good fun.
Christopher, have a Merry Christmas. I know you're about to take a little bit of a respite there over the holidays. Who's filling in for you on the Chris DeGaulle show while you're gone?
We'll have Mark Davis from Dallas, our affiliate there. He sits in, and during the holidays itself, you'll get the best of the show, the very best.
Oh, wow.
Each day is so fantastic. And so we've taken the very best of that and consolidated into one program. Imagine the white-hot electricity.
A little insight here as to how Chris DeGaulle has matured in his career here now that he's a nationally syndicated host. Years ago, if I had asked him that question, he would have said, I don't give a shit. Who's filling in for you, Chris? Hell, if I know, I don't care.
But honestly, I don't. Because there are some in our business, and you know who they are, that when they leave their show, they can't actually leave their show, and
They listen to their
intently.
guest hosts. They
Yes,
listen to their fill-ins. Yes.
because they're just terrified of losing their job. And I say, you want it? Come and get it. I'm taking some time. I'm going. I'm not listening to a word. Good luck, boys.
Let the record reflect that during his earlier fledgling days, this guy right here was Chris DeGaule's guest host.
It's true.
I used to be that guy you didn't give a shit about.
And you didn't even have to marry me.
Bye, Chris.
Merry Christmas to you
Merry
and yours.
Christmas. God bless us, everyone. It always ends weird with Chris. Have you noticed that? If you care about the direction of this country, you need to be reading The Lion. Published by the Herzog Foundation, the national leader in Christian education, The Lion is an award-winning news site delivering sharp, timely reporting on what's really happening in America's schools, culture, and government. It's the kind of journalism that cuts through the noise and gives you the full picture, especially when it comes to the growing movement toward Christ-centered education. But The Lion goes beyond classrooms. It covers parenting, faith, freedom, culture, culture battles shaping our future. And just like its namesake, The Lion embodies strength and courage, standing firm in a landscape where too many have surrendered our children's future to the left's ideology. Visit readlion.com, sign up for the daily or weekly newsletter so you never miss a headline. That's readlion.com, clarity, courage, and news that keeps you informed and equipped. Readlion.com. All right, hang on. Let me get set up here. This isn't my usual studio. I'm a little disoriented. All right, here we go. Yesterday, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem testified in the House. We showed you a little bit of that yesterday. The Democrats, though, they set up a gotcha moment for her. They set up this big time, we're going to get Kristi Noem, huge gotcha moment that was going to go viral. It was going to spell the end of her career and destroy Trump and everyone who's ever worn a MAGA hat. Then the truth came out. All right, so we're going to show you the truth in a sec, but here's the big gotcha moment. Watch now.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
We owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
Sir, I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our laws.
Can you please tell Mr. Park why you deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges. This man took 2 bullets for our country. Will you have broad authority, by the way, as Secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you to remember that
Madam Secretary, the man behind you, please stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife, Donna, has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our country.
Now, what possible explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have
and
broad
which ones
discretion as
don't.
the secretary.
We
You
need to
can
follow
issue, you
and
can do all
enforce
kinds
the
of things, but
laws.
you're choosing not to. Will you commit again to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife, who also loves this country?
I will review the case.
Super powerful stuff there. And by the way, when he kept saying you have broad discretion to enforce the law, broad discretion, they love using that broad discretion because her predecessor, Alejandro Mayorkas, he utilized that broad discretion to ignore our immigration laws, to ignore border security laws, to just open our borders and let whoever comes into our country. That last case there, does anyone here believe that a young girl who came here at the age of 11 legally, and what did he say? Pass a couple of bad checks for $80 is now in prison for 4 months. Does anyone here think that maybe, just maybe, there's more to that story? Yeah, exactly. By the way, coming to the country at 11 years old legally and then being here for as long as she has, clearly her visa has expired. My guess is she came here on either a tourist or a student visa. At some point, the visa expired. At some point, she had to go back home and she didn't, and she stayed. I'm sorry, how long are you supposed to be able to stay here without actually filing for citizenship, filing to be naturalized, filing for the amnesty that was offered back in 1987, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And it goes without saying that that entire first episode with the gentleman in Korea on the iPad was a fraud. Tricia McLaughlin, spokesperson for Department of Homeland Security, actually revealed the facts about this case. Sejun Park's extensive criminal history, convictions for assault. Remember, he just possessed some drugs. He had some drugs, but he never hurt anybody. And I do love the fact that the only way Democrats can make any hay on these issues right now is to not only downplay the importance of our immigration laws, crossing our border illegally, staying in our country illegally, violating our immigration laws, violating identity theft laws, violating our laws against working and being employed when you're an illegal alien. They have to downplay all those. But then, because the people who are arrested and deported, the vast majority of them also broke other laws, either drug-related or theft or assault, Democrats have to downplay those too. Oh, come on. Why do you have to be such a stickler? Oh, sure. He assaulted somebody, but that shouldn't mean he gets deported. Who among us hasn't assaulted somebody? What else do we have here? Assault, possessing, manufacturing, and selling a dangerous weapon, carrying a loaded firearm in a public place. I thought these guys didn't like guns. You try carrying a loaded firearm in a public place and see what they do to you. But if you're an illegal immigrant, oh, are you kidding? They're going to jump in front of the bullet for you. And what's the last crime here? Criminal possession of a controlled substance. In 2010, an immigration judge issued the order of removal. And yes, that was taking into account his valor and commitment to our military. And God bless him for serving in our military. But if you serve in our military and you break the law, you have to pay the penalty. I'm sorry, are we supposed to have two separate sets of law for a military veteran and non-military veterans? Is that what Democrats want? Whether you're legally in the country or not, if you are a military veteran and you break the law, especially those laws, you have to pay a penalty. But there's more that's outrageous about this. Yes, in 2010, immigration judge issued the order of removal. Park's appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals that same month was dismissed in April 2011. No legal basis to remain in the U.S. The final order of removal, Park was allowed to self-deport to Korea. Did you get that? Did you get that? So the order to be removed was in 2010. He appealed it. April 2011, the appeal was denied. So that was 14 years ago. 13 years ago. 14 years ago. I did the math. And he still stayed in the country illegally, despite a 2011 loss of an appeal on removal. But then the French kiss of it all. where this guy grandstanding with his little iPad and the guy sitting over his shoulder saying to Chris, but then you threw him out of the country. You sent him to Korea. You deported him. He's got a Purple Heart and you sent him home. No, actually, through our Department of Homeland Security, we set up an incredibly generous self-deportation offer. And the gentleman took advantage of it. He took cash in hand and put that money in his pocket and got the free flight back to Korea. And now he can submit himself for legal immigration into our country. He was not deported. He took advantage of the self-deportation provisions. What the Democrat just tried to do to nail Kristi Noem is actually an example of this beautiful system working perfectly. What a scumbag. What a gotcha moment that was, right? And by the way, ironically, all of those facts that I just laid out to you about this guy, you didn't see it on most of the network news shows. They showed that clip, but they didn't actually lay out exactly what happened. They just took that Democrat lawmaker's word for it. They didn't give you the details about manufacturing and possessing a firearm, about assault, about all of those other things, and the fact that he's self-deported. Nope. Although, ironically, if you happen to be watching CNN last night, you did get the truth. Not from any of their teleprompter readers, not from any of their so-called journalists, no. Here,
because this is why people hate congressional hearings, and this is why people don't trust the media, is because the reality is Mr. Park, while he was here, never chose to pursue citizenship. He was here on a green card. Under Obama, that green card was revoked because of drug possession. And ultimately, he made the decision that he wanted to self-deport. That is a decision he made. It was not like ICE raided his home, took him from his family, and deposited him in a foreign land.
We do know that ICE has been,
to self-deport.
But just some context.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did Abby Phillips have to interrupt and step all over her and then give some context? There's no context. There's facts. There's the truth. And it took one right-of-center commentator, New York Post reporter, to actually deliver the truth. Otherwise, the CNN audience wouldn't have gotten it either. She's right. It's why people hate congressional hearings. But more importantly, it's why people hate slimy, duplicitous Democrats like this one, where last we saw her, she was actually arrested for assaulting an ICE officer in front of a detention center in New Jersey. And watch what she tried to pull.
So I'll ask you this. Is Trump embarrassed by your tenure, or is this exactly the kind of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more.
By the way, can I just a point of person? We'll watch the rest of it, and I'll let her ask her question again. But I just want to point out, and forgive me, I don't mean to nitpick, and I apologize if this is, she didn't ask a yes or no question. So the question she asked was, has Trump lost confidence in you, or is this the god-awful leadership he wants? Yes or no? It's not a yes or no question. So ask a different question if you're going to ask a question, right? Okay, sorry. Again, don't mean to nitpick. But that whole, is it this or is it that? Yes or no? Don't work. Use your noggin.
Of god-awful leadership he wants at DHS. Yes or no?
Ma'am, we've already conducted more oversight visits.
No. It's a yes or no. Yes or no. Okay, Secretary Noem, this is my time to talk, not your time to talk. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. Chair, I reclaim my time. Secretary Noem, DHS is breaking the law, hiding information from Congress and shutting out oversight. So let me ask you, how can the American people trust your department with you at the helm with this kind of behavior?
The American people absolutely trust this department to keep them safe. And we are showing that every day by the support we get across the country, the amount of people that we're recruiting to all of our
Thank you,
different
Secretary
agencies.
Nome. Do you agree
have
that using
200,000
DHS
people that have
resources
signed
to
up to be
target
ICE
members of
officers?
Congress is an abuse of power?
Excuse me, would you say that
You
again?
would have heard me if you stopped talking
If you
and
would
listened to
stop
my
talking
questions.
crazy,
Do
quit
you
making
agree
stuff up.
that using DHS resources to target members of Congress is an abuse of power?
We are not doing that. We are out there enforcing the law, doing our work, and we are allowing oversight.
Of course, we're not
visits
going to get
more
any
than the
answers. With
entire
that,
Joe
Mr.
Biden
Chairman, I
administration
yield
did.
back. Let's start with the basic. So I
All right. Those were some fine questions she asked there, and you got to hand it to her. By the way, I love that suddenly there's a newfound concern about the cabinet level secretaries and their divisions of the administrative, the executive office, actually surveilling and putting pressure on members of Congress. You might want to look into what was done during the Biden administration under Jack Smith as they were tapping the phones of Republican members of Congress. But sure, you go on with your bad self there, ma'am. That is exactly why people hate Democrats and hate Congress the way they behave. And you tell me, when you watch that clip, who seems like the sane, normal, rational person and who is the odious freak? All right, coming up in a second, creepy Gavin Newsom wants to get his paws all over your children. Don't let him. First, though, if you care about staying sharp and informed, make The Lion part of your daily routine. Published by the Herzog Foundation, The Lion covers the headlines that matter, from politics and policy to culture and faith, all through a common sense, values-driven lens. It's the kind of journalism that goes beyond the surface, offering the context and clarity today's news demands. Whether you're tracking big national stories or want to know what's happening in schools, state houses, and communities across the country, The Lion delivers smart, well-sourced reporting you're not going to find anywhere else. Visit readlion.com, catch up on the latest must-read stories, and sign up for The Lion's daily and weekly newsletters while you're there. That's readlion.com, news that informs and respects your worldview. All right, let's get right to it. So Gavin Newsom wants to be the president of the United States, and I just want you to know that he is a diabolical charlatan. He is a lizard person. He can take on any persona and make you believe that he is genuine about any policy and any position. He is such a political creature that he can lie with such ferocity and with such determination that even though you know he's lying to you, you might start to believe him. But once in a while, the mask slips. And to get that Democrat nomination for president, he's going to have to appeal to the most radical of the Democrat base. And that was revealed in an interview he gave to Ezra Klein and the New York Times for Ezra's podcast. And what he said about the transgender issues and about children was so odious. And remarkably, he and his political operation doubled down on that and went right into Elon Musk's face with this bizarre enthusiasm for transing children. And I know that sounds bizarre. I know that sounds outrageous. I know that it sounds unbelievable. So watch it for yourself.
So we didn't get into trans sports. That's an issue no one wants to hear about because 80% of the people listening disagree with my position on this. But it comes from my heart, not just my head. It wasn't a political evolution. It was
position being that
I don't think it's. I want to see trans kids. I have a trans godson. There's no governor that's signed more pro-trans legislation than I have, and no one has been a stronger advocate for the LGBTQ community. So
I want to see trans kids. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know. Gavin Newsom made a lot of headlines when he went to the dearly departed Charlie Kirk's podcast, and rest his soul, of course. Or actually, if I remember right, it was actually Charlie Kirk was on Gavin Newsom's podcast when this was revealed, when he said that he thought that trans athletes in sports and men playing women's sports was unfair, right? He said, obviously, that's unfair. He didn't say that he would change that policy. He didn't do anything to actually change that policy. And in fact, as governor of California, after he said that and said, yeah, trans in sports seems to be unfair, he doubled and tripled down on the state of California's policies, including a policy that would make it illegal for parents to not go along with the transition of their minor. Let me just be clear here. If you're a parent of a child in California and your child comes home from school and teachers or administrators or counselors at the school, adult government employees, educational department bureaucrats, spoke to your child and shared sexual secrets with them, getting your child to the point where your child believes that they are transgender and wants to start representing as the opposite sex. If you don't go along with it, if you don't support your child, your 10-year-old, your 12-year-old, if you don't allow them to change their name and dress like the opposite sex, if you don't take them to doctors and get hormones prescribed for them to facilitate that transition, those hormone pills that will render them sterile if they take them all through puberty, if you don't do that, then by the letter of the law in the state of California right now, you could have your child removed from you. That's Gavin Newsom's California. And so when he's trying to affirm his cred with the left-wing New York Times and the very powerful Human Rights Campaign, which has, and all the other LGBTQ plus IIAA, whatever other letters you want to throw at it, fundraising monsters in American politics. And he wants to make sure they know, because he's got to clean up his mess when he admitted that trans athlete issues and letting men compete in women's sports is not fair, although he would never say men. He's got to clean up that mess. And so now you get this.
We didn't get into trans sports. That's an issue no one wants to hear about, because 80% of the people listening disagree with my position on this. But it comes from my heart, not just my head. It wasn't a political evolution. It was
position being that
I don't think it's. I want to see trans kids. I have a trans godson.
I want to see trans kids. I want to see, it's one thing to say, listen, my heart goes out to people. I feel, great sympathy and compassion for them. I want to give them the help they need. They shouldn't be demonized or marginalized. Let people live their lives and be their true selves. Let's protect them and make sure that they're not bullied. It's like all of those things. Okay. I want to see trans kids. Republican National Committee made a meme out of it and put it out there. Gavin Newsom, there he is. I want to see trans kids. It's definitely a clip that's going to be played over and over and over again. Here's what's really crazy about this, though. That's the Republican National Committee that put that out there, but it was retweeted and supported by Governor Newsom's press office. They're not shying away from this. It's not like they have to clean this up. Oh, it was a slip of the tongue. He didn't mean it that way. What he meant was he wants to see trans kids protected. He wants to see trans kids represented. He wants to see no. No, they've doubled down. And in fact, they've tripled down. Elon Musk's Political Action Committee, America, on X, retweeted this. I want to see trans kids. There's no governor that's done more pro-trans legislation than I have. Newsom's press office responded and said, correct. We're sorry your daughter hates you, Elon. Despicable human being. For those of you who don't know, Elon Musk's son had his brain poisoned by the radicals in the state of California at the school system, and is now living life as a girl. And so here's Gavin Newsom going after Elon directly on this. And you can't imagine what it's like to have to see that if it's your child. By the way, remember the whole, hey, let's leave our kids out of it thing. Oh, no, let's not do. For everybody who says that Trump is guilty of mean, despicable tweets, have you ever seen Donald Trump do something like that? I mean, listen, I've stuck myself out there now, so I'm sure if you have, you'll send it to me. But generally speaking, Trump tends to go after people who go after him, and usually it's directly them, right? But they don't say, oh, yeah, well, let's talk about your kids. Your kids. Especially if your kids don't even have a public profile or don't have a public. Anyway, Elon Musk replied to that, said, I assume you're referring to my son, Xavier, who has a tragic mental illness caused by the evil woke mind virus you push on vulnerable children. I love Xavier very much and hope he recovers. My daughters are Azure, Exa, she goes by Y, and Arcadia, and they do indeed love me very much. Good for Elon Musk pushing back on that and taking the high road and staying classy. Wish we could say the same for Gavin Newsom. He had more to say, by the way, in this interview. Beware. He's going to be slick, and they're going to push him on you like a brand new product that has come off the conveyor belt and has a squeaky clean, very well-financed marketing campaign. And he is slick. But beware of how dangerous this guy is. And by the way, there's another narrative you're going to see a lot. This is all planned, promise you. The narrative from the networks and from the cable news, from MS Now, whatever, they're going to claim, this is going to be the narrative for the next year or so, that Gavin Newsom is not trusted by the left-wing progressive base. They're going to say, oh, yeah, you know, the AOCs of the world, the Bernie Sanders, the real left-wing base of the Democrat Party, they don't trust Gavin Newsom. They don't think he's progressive enough. Don't buy it. Don't believe any of it. He was the governor of California. There is no more radical Democrat in a position of that kind of power in this country. He is the worst of the worst. And he did reveal a bit of it in this New York Times interview.
I think Trump is one of the most destructive presidents and human beings in my lifetime. I think this republic is at real risk, this country being unrecognizable. And I have no patience for people that want to indulge it. I can't stand the crony capitalism. I can't stand all these supplicants that are sitting there bending the knee to this president. I can't stand the universities that have done that, the law firms that have done that, the individual corporate leaders that have done that, the other governors, maybe Democrats and Republicans that have been complicit at this moment. This guy is reckless. He's wrecked this country. We'll not have a fair and free election if we don't continue to fight. That's what matters to me. Seriously, I'm the future ex-governor, and who the hell knows what happens the rest of my life, except one thing I know that matters in the rest of my life is I have to look at my kids in the goddamn eye. I mean that. Seriously. That's not like a politician thing. To look them in the eye and say that not a peril of being judged, not to have lived in the moment.
Can I just say something, having watched this guy for a long time, and there's a lot of Biden in there too, in terms of the vocal tics and the mannerisms and the things that he does. Because listen, he's been watching these politicians. His aunt, I think, is Nancy Pelosi. He's been around politics his entire life. He was a little savant when he became mayor of San Francisco, 25, 30 years ago, and went from that position to lieutenant governor and now governor. And so he picks up these little habits. He picks up these little stylized mannerisms. And one of the things that he does that Biden used to do all the time was, I mean it. I mean that. I'm serious about that. And what did I always tell you when Biden did that? Every single time they say, I mean it, I'm serious about that. That's a poker tell. They're saying that, and they're telling you how serious they are and how they mean it, because they know in their heart that they're bullshitting you. Okay, so every time Gavin Newsom says, and I mean that, I mean, what did he say just now? I have to look my kids in the eye.
Hell knows what happens the rest of my life, except one thing I know that matters in the rest of my life is I have to look at my kids in the goddamn eye. I mean that. Seriously.
He couldn't even get it out because he knows that it's horseshit. I have to look my kids in the eyes. And I mean that, by the way. Just take note of that. Every single time he does that, he's revealing what a liar he is. A little bit more. This is my favorite, by the way, especially in light of the debate we just had in America over the government shutdown and Trump and the Republicans saying they're demanding that we spend money on our healthcare system and Medicare and Medicaid on illegal immigrants. And remember how many of the Democrats and how many of their lackeys in the media, the teleprompter readers, the fact checkers, the journalists said, of course, federal law states that illegal immigrants do not get any healthcare coverage. By the way, last I checked, federal law states that you can't cross the border illegally or stay in the country illegally or work in the country illegally. And somehow those laws are violated on a minute-by-minute basis, and Democrats are fine with that. But now this is where we draw the line. Federal law says that illegal immigrants do not get health care benefits. So obviously they're not getting any health care benefits, right? Right, Gavin Newsom? Illegal immigrants aren't getting any health care benefits, are they?
As it relates to undocked healthcare, yeah, I'm proud of that because I believe in universal healthcare. Others may say it. I did it. First state in the country, regardless of pre-existing conditions, ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status. I promised that. I promoted it. I ran 3 times on it. I did it when I was mayor. People know who I am. We failed on the border. We need to own up to that. Largest border crossing in the Western Hemisphere in my state. Spent $1 billion+ to do migrant centers, try to put a lid on things. And it was quite critical, but I tried to do it in a respectful way of the Biden administration. We failed on the border. We have to own that. But we've also failed as a consequence because of that to lead the comprehensive immigration question. We've got to get the border right. Then we can get to that. But I say that to make the point. You don't need sanctuary policy in this country if we have a federal government doing its job. In the absence of that, we'll deal with the cards that are dealt. And one of the cards that are dealt is people are going to end up in the emergency room, and you're going to pay for that one way or another. I want to keep people out of the emergency room. I want to keep people healthier. I want to keep people safer. And that's why we've advanced these values. Trump uses it as a cudgel, uses it very effectively to attack our party and our values. But I'll stand up to it. And good people can disagree, but I'm very mindful.
Why did Democrats fail on the border?
Because we didn't own up to the reality. We didn't take responsibility.
But beneath it, what happened, right? Joe Biden was not a guy who didn't know that you shouldn't have, chaos at the border. You sent down National Guardsmen at a level of why for policy.
Well, I think the why was everything's in reaction to Trump. Sort of the overreach of Trump.
Yeah.
We come back and we then move 180 degrees in the opposite direction when we didn't need to or shouldn't have. And you saw mass migration across the country. It was hardly unique in the United States. You had all of the shock and supply chain shock and issues around COVID, coming out of COVID, et cetera, that created even more pressure. And then it became overwhelming. And then what also became overwhelming was this notion that we can't do it without Congress. And then Biden then proved Trump right by doing it without Congress. In the last 6 months, we saw a significant decline in border crossings under the Biden administration that ultimately led to benefits for Trump, claiming he did it all at the end when he really closed the gap marginally. But we paid a huge price for that. And we picked up, I think, the wrong lessons in the midterms. We outperformed in the midterms. And this was a time when all Democratic governors were critical. You saw it publicly. And then they did better than we all expected. They said, why don't we just focus on these other issues? Mistake.
All right. So this was fascinating, this exchange, by the way, and we're going to watch it one more time together and break down some things that are noteworthy. It begins with what he called undock healthcare. That's Medicare and health benefits for illegal immigrants. The things that every Democrat and every fact checker and every teleprompter reader for the last year has told you doesn't exist. Federal law says that illegal immigrants don't get health care. They don't get health care. Okay, and what does Gavin Newsom brag about?
Undock healthcare, yeah. I'm proud of that because I believe in universal health care. Others may say it. I did it.
All right, let me be clear here. He just said, yeah, I'm proud of it because I believe in universal health care. Others may talk about it, but I did it. I want you to listen to exactly what he's bragging about here and what he did. Universal health care in California. Universal health care for whom?
First state in the country, regardless of pre-existing conditions, ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status. I promised that. I promoted it. I ran 3 times on it. I did it when I was mayor. People know who I am. We failed on the border.
All right, we'll get to the border in a second. So we got a large audience in California. We can see that from the breakdown that we get from the platform that we're on right now, that you're watching us on. I know we got a lot of Californians. Hey, Californians, in the comment section, in the chat, tell me, do you have universal health care in the state of California? Are you able to, regardless of your ability to pay, do you have full coverage with pre-existing conditions and whatever ails you? You get everything covered by the state of California? Is that the health care you have? If you say yes, it's because you're an illegal immigrant. Because what he's bragging about here, oh yeah, I believe in universal health care. Other people may brag about claim it, but I actually do it. He did it only for illegal immigrants. If you're a legal, law-abiding, tax-paying citizen in the state of California, you're stuck like the rest of us. But he made sure he got it for illegals, and he did it utilizing federal tax dollars through Medicare and Medicaid.
We need to own up to that. Largest border crossing in the Western Hemisphere in my state, spent $1 billion+ to do migrant centers, try to put a lid on things. It was quite critical, but I tried to do it in a respectful way of the Biden administration.
Yeah, I was quite critical, but I did it in a respectful way. And by respectful, the way he was critical of Joe Biden there on the border, by respectful, he means silent. I was quite critical, but I conveyed all of my criticism telepathically. Have you ever seen a clip of Gavin Newsom criticizing Joe Biden respectfully about the border? Of course. You have not. And by the way, this is a trick of Gavin Newsom's. You see it all the time with politicians. So he goes on this podcast and he says, yeah, we were wrong about the border and we've got to own up on it. Okay, so own up to it. What does that mean? What does that look like? See, as far as Gavin Newsom is concerned, that's all you got to do. We were wrong and we got to own up to it. Own up to it how exactly? No. There is no owning up to it. There is no actual efforts put forth to actually come to terms with it, fix it, make reparations, make amends for what you did to our nation. No. Just say the words, we got to own up to it, and you'll get credit for doing something that you've never actually done, other than acknowledge the thing that all of us see with our own eyes, which was you guys sucked. And you ruin things on the border. And you're supposed to get credit because you admit it out loud? Yes. The answer is yes. He'll get credit for admitting it out loud, but it doesn't mean he's going to change anything.
We failed on the border. We have to own that. But we've also failed as a consequence because of that to lead the comprehensive immigration question. We've got to get the border right. Then we can get to that. But I say that to make
just so you know, comprehensive immigration, whenever they use those words, we need comprehensive immigration reform. All that means is give amnesty to everyone who broke the law and came into the country illegally and not actually make any other changes. Just so you know.
Make the point. You don't need sanctuary policy in this country if we have a federal government doing its job. In the absence of that, we'll deal with the cards that are dealt. And one of the cards that are dealt is people are going to end up in the emergency room, and you're going to pay for that one way or another. I want to keep people out of the emergency room. I want to keep people healthier. I want to keep people safer. And that's why we've advanced these values. Trump uses it as a cudgel. He uses it very effectively to attack our party and our values. But I'll stand up to it. And good.
I love that the Trump uses the immigration issue as a cudgel to attack our party. Let's just be clear on what Trump uses as a cudgel. He points out the fact that they have allowed the border to be open without any of our immigration laws being enforced. It's like, how dare you point out the truth? How dare you say out loud to the rest of the country what everyone can see with their own two eyes? That bastard, Donald Trump, using this as a cudgel against us. Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't you eliminate the cudgel? Trump would not be able to use your performance on immigration and the border as a cudgel against you if you just, followed the law and enforced border security and enforced immigration laws, which they still refuse to do. Today on Capitol Hill, Democrat congressmen are proposing to defund ICE. They're not fooling anyone, but Trump's the bad guy. Trump's the bad guy. Boy, he just kills us on the border. Yeah, you know why? Because you're killing us with the border.
People can disagree, but I'm very mindful.
Why did Democrats fail on the border?
Because we didn't own up to the reality. We didn't take responsibility.
But beneath it, what happened, right? Joe Biden was not a guy who didn't know that you shouldn't have, chaos at the border. You sent down National Guardsmen at a level of why for policy.
Well, I think the why was everything's in reaction to Trump.
This is so insightful. And by the way, I have to hand it. If you looked at Gavin Newsom's face there, he wasn't expecting to actually have to answer this. Good for Ezra to actually press him on this with a follow-up, because he thought he could just get away with we failed because we didn't own up to it. Yeah. But to be specific, this isn't about owning up to it. This is about the actual mechanics of failure on the border. And that statement right there, everything ultimately is a reaction to Trump. Which, by the way, is super telling for Gavin Newsom, because everything he does right now is a reaction to Trump. Look at him on social media. Look at him on X. Look at his behavior. Look at the name calling and the memes that he puts out that everyone criticizes Trump for. And now Gavin Newsom gets praise from Democrat circles because look at him. He's playing Trump's game and he trolls Trump. And he's like, everything Newsom does is a reaction to Trump. He's trying to out-Trump Trump, which he can't do. He has no charm, but there's a little bit more here that is incredibly revealing, and you need to file away.
Sort of the overreach of Trump.
Yeah.
We come back and we then move 180 degrees in the opposite direction.
All right, so let's just be clear here. He's blaming Trump for the Biden administration overreacting and going 180 degrees from Trump's so-called overreach. Let's just be clear. What exactly was the overreach in the Trump administration, the first term? What was the overreach? The overreach was following the law. The overreach was enforcing our border. The overreach was building a wall that Biden ended up at the very end of his administration building as well. The overreach was deporting people who were here illegally. So he calls that overreach. Trump came in and he overreached. And then everybody reacted to that and they went 180 in the other direction. So let's just be clear, because he's kind of right. I would just quibble with some of the terminology that he's using. Gavin says that Trump was overreaching, and overreach is defined as enforcing our laws. Biden came in and did 180 and went in the other direction. In other words, Biden ignored our laws. Good. Clarifying. Thank you. One other thing here, as I just mentioned, everything that Newsom is doing right now is a reaction to Trump. He doesn't exist really on the national stage if he didn't have Trump to react to. And he's very good at being obnoxious and rude and trolling and name-calling and being an overall dick, which is what he's done. It's how he's got himself out there and elevated his position. Democrats love it, which is really ironic considering this.
It's not just mockery. It's not just trolling. It actually, for me, serves a bigger purpose. But in terms of how we get to the other side, in terms of how we lock hands moving forward, how we govern, the next president of the United States, not about me, whoever the next president needs to be prepared. We can't keep this up. We're polarized. We're traumatized. We're exhausted. I can't even conceive of 3 more years of this. It really is. I mean, what's happening to our kids? Their brains are already being scrambled by social media and everything else we didn't even talk about. But this is their role model. A guy who calls someone a retard. A guy who calls someone a piggy. This is our role model, the president of the United States.
And he wants to be that role model. And that's the funny thing is that he's doing the exact same thing. He's getting praised by Democrats for being, look at him, he's just like Trump. And now he's saying we can't handle any more of Trump. And by the way, he's right. It is exhausting. And I can't imagine 3 more years of this if I were a Democrat, because Trump is Trump and he does what he does and he is who he is and he behaves the way he behaves. And yet he still succeeds and he still wins elections. I mean, it's been 10 years now, guys. you might want to reach a point now where you stop complaining about his behavior and the words he uses and the names he calls and actually focus on the issues he represents. Because the one thing that Gavin Newsom and Democrats still can't come to terms with is that the American people, despite all of the things we know about Donald Trump, continue to support him and elect him over their perfect, pristine candidates like Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And it's because people vote for him not because of the name calling and because of the mean tweets and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we don't mind it as much as you want us to mind it, but that's not the reason we vote for him. Ultimately, we vote for him because he's right on the issues. And no matter what you say in terms of, decrying the vitriol and the name calling and we're at each other's throats and all of that stuff, ultimately, you can be as nice as you want. You can be as happy-go-lucky as you want and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But if you continue to have issues and positions that destroy our country, we're not going to support you. We would love to all get along. Why don't you guys back off for once and stop calling us Nazis? I guarantee you, if you stopped your behavior, things would be a lot more peaceful around here. And then you'll be real open to the idea of a kinder, gentler candidate in the future. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, we got a lot of them. Don't worry. We got you covered. All right, guys, thank you for watching our Friday extravaganza here in our Red Velvet Lounge. It's my favorite set to do the show from. Jeff Depew with the $2 super chat. Republicans don't have the dangles to deport her. You don't think so? That'd be amazing if they. I don't know. I mean, what do you mean Republicans? It just takes the Department of Homeland Security. You don't think Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, and the head of the Border Patrol have the dangles to deport Ilhan? I don't know. The important thing to remember is she married her brother. Paul with $10 super chat. Let's play Where's Waldo. Google this. Photos of Maine most wanted, 93% white state. Find the white American guy. When you pick one, read the name, then try again. Minnesota fraud mirrors Maine fraud. You make a good point. And you saw the congressman, Randy Ogles, make that point about not just here in America, but worldwide, crime stats, education stats, basic quality of life stats. When you remove the illegal immigrant participation in those statistics out, Stephen Miller just made this point the other day. Our numbers look quite civilized and quite good. When you remove that demographic of illegal immigrants from the equation, we actually have a pretty safe society right now. And our school systems, our literacy rates are better. And listen, it is a problem. And it's a problem of the Democrat Party's making. Thank you, Paul. Good point. Stumbleboots, $2 super chat. You're cool too. Thank you. God's best friend, £2 super chat. Ilhan's face is mostly hairless. That's just unkind. Sharon Cabana. Hey, Sharon. How are you? Long time no see. $20 super chat. Oh, my goodness. Merry Christmas, all. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Sharon. Merry Christmas to you. That dog looks like he's in his glory. Hey, Captain Shriver, $5 super chat. There are some things you don't keep in the family. Sex between family members is one of them. It's immoral and repulsive and against the word of God. There is no evidence to suggest that she had sex with her brother, only that she married him. But thank you for that admonishment, Captain. GBF, £2 super chat. Did you watch that lovely speech by Shabana Mahmood? I have not. I have not watched that lovely speech by Shabana Mahmood, but I will. We need to get more international. Maybe we should do an international show with all international topics. Jeffrey Jordan, $5 super chat. The Republicans are actively undermining us as we speak. Thune and Grassley are holding up the confirmations in the Senate. Indiana the same. Don't get me started on Indiana last night. And yeah, I know. I saw Thune and Grassley, the whole blue slip argument that's going on there. It's disconcerting to say the least. They need to be moving more nominations through. I agree. No argument here. Nura, $19.99. Well, it's not dollars. What's SAR? Anyone?
Saudi Arabian currency.
Hey, thank you very much. I sound more American than the Congressman Tiander. Notice how rich Muslims, i.e. Saudi, always us assimilate and go back, and we don't allow third world migrants. Yeah, all right. Thank you for, you do sound more American than, what's his name? Sri Thenardier or whatever? Or
Anadar.
Vanadar. There you go. Say hi to the Saudi desert for us. GBF, £2 super chat. I mean that, not a joke. Yeah, that's right. That's the Biden thing. I mean that, not a joke. Totally serious, dead serious. GBF, it's not Biden who stopped migration. It's Kamala. Yeah, just ask her. Jeffrey with a $2 super chat. Jesus is king. Yes, on this, our Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And we know who the queen is too, Jeffrey. Thank you for that. All right, guys. Thank you. Oh, do we have a super chat? Hold on. What's that? Oh, that's it. We're done. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you watching us on our Friday extravaganza. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. I'm Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry.